my nation will not crumble, and we will never surrender to this brutal force. The wall across Europe is not just a matter for Georgia. Indeed, the very values of this institution remain at a threat. The values that the protection of human rights, the respect of the dignity and equality of all persons, the inadmissibility of ethnic cleansing, and recognition of the inviolability of sovereign borders. All are values that form the bedrock of the institution. We certainly did not choose this course of action, but it's up to us to recognize and reverse its illegality. As a community of responsible nations, it is our collective responsibility to uphold international law and insist that borders cannot and will not be changed through the use of force. It is up to us to tear down this new wall peacefully with the power of our ideas and the strength of our convictions. I want the world to understand clearly how we view this new wall and our strategy for tearing it down. To start, let me state outright, we do not expect it to disappear overnight. We understand that it is a very, very hard process. But the history of the Berlin Wall teaches us that the patience must never be passive. We should never get resigned to the idea that these things should be accepted or tolerated. The Berlin Wall only fell because passionate, disciplined, energetic partisans of freedom broke behind and outside that wall, worked with focus, discipline, and courage and determination to remind the world community of the legitimacy and the legality of that wall, and to take actions to hasten its demise. I would like to use this opportunity to thank those member nations at the UN for their vote recognizing the right of return for all who have been displaced, for all the victims of ethnic cleansing. I would like to thank all those nations across the globe that resisted illegality and pressure, and in many cases attempts to bribe, by standing firm in their non-recognition of those territories of Georgia now occupied by a foreign force. I want to thank all those nations who have been so generous in pledging and providing vital economic support that has proved invaluable in helping to build shelters and rebuild the dreams of the invasions, refugees, and IDPs. On behalf of all my fellow citizens, I wish to thank you for your generosity, especially at a time of such extreme hardship around the world. Beyond the comfort provided by your material support, I want to thank all of Georgia's friends who have defended not only our sovereignty, but our right to forge our own path in the world, to choose our own alliances, and to reject the 19th century notion of spheres of influence, which led to so much warfare, repression, and the hardship in the world's history. I want to thank those nations and leaders of the European Union who today have committed their monitors to Georgia for the promotion of peace. The Georgian people are also grateful to US President Obama for his unwavering words of support, very strong declarations for our sovereignty and territorial integrity, and the Vice President Biden for visiting Georgia this summer and underscoring in the meeting also with the refugee children America's commitment to our democracy and our right to choose our own future. And in particular, I want to thank the UN for more than 16 years of contributions to peace on the ground in Georgia. Through its presence in our country, a presence recently and abruptly halted by unilateral actions of one single member state. Our future depends on us. And so today, I also want to report to you on the progress Georgia is making through our own efforts. In the years since we suffered Europe's first invasion in post-Cold War era, 1 year after losing hundreds of our sons and daughters, and after having hundreds of thousands of refugees of our people displaced, the Georgian people have regrouped and made real progress down the path of peace, freedom, and individual liberty. And I would like to pay tribute to their courage. Just a few days ago, in a refugee camp outside Tbilisi, I saw young children demonstrating their unstoppable will to have a normal and free life. Children of all ethnic backgrounds. Indeed, most of the people deported from South Ossetia were ethnically Ossetian. They fled from so-called liberators or were forced out. These children are seizing opportunity to learn how to compete in the modern age, using new computers, mastering English, and advancing their pursuit of knowledge, despite all the odds. These children are the future of my country. These children symbolize, ladies and gentlemen, the path Georgia took after the invasion. We are following through on the promise made at this podium last year to strengthen our democracy, foster pluralism, and expand individual liberties. Already we have set reforms in motion, which within the next year will advance the progress of the Rose Revolution and irreversibly deepen our identity and the freest state of our region. Already we permitted nearly 3 months of opposition protests to proceed unhindered, even though they closed down the main streets in our capital, paralyzed government buildings, reflecting our deep commitment to pluralism and our respect for dissent and freedom of speech. In the situation when enemy troops are standing just 24 kilometers away from the capital with their artillery pointed at the center of the capital. Already we have given opposition-controlled broadcast stations license to transmit across the nation. Already we have brought opposition parties into the meetings of our National Security Council, basically making no secrets from them, giving full access to all state information to ensure our security policies reflect the unified will of the nation, beyond faction, beyond party. Already we have committed to the direct election of all mayors in a few months' time and began the development of new electoral rules based on consensus and agreement of different political parties. We have, in order to ensure the greatest possible legitimacy of the next local and parliamentary and presidential elections. With all these efforts and our commitments, we have been, with our democratic reforms, our biggest imperative today is to continue to integrate all different political interests, to continue to integrate all different groups in better life for everyday life for our citizens. We are also doing all that to rebuild our economy. The Georgian people are skilled and hardworking, but they are bearing the double punishment of a global economic downturn and the economic consequences of last summer's invasion. Our biggest imperative at home is to create more employment, and we are doing it. They will pursue this goal every day. We are heartened and proud that indeed the World Bank has just named Georgia as the 11th most attractive country in the world for doing business, when only a few years ago we were 122nd, and right now we are #1 in Eastern and Central Europe, just 1 year after the invasion. And we will continue to take steps to strengthen our economy and create more employment. We are resolutely committed to our vision of sovereign and unified Georgia. Together with all Georgia's diverse ethnic groups and religions, we will prevail over the illegal occupation and reverse the results of ethnic cleansing. Abkhazia is the birthplace of a Georgian civilization. Since the time of Kolkhida, the ancient kingdom of Kolkhida, which was the birthplace of one of the most interesting and ancient European cultures, starting from Jason and Argonauts. It was a valuable and vibrant part of our journey for history. But it also was a very vibrant part of Georgia just a few years ago. And that most vibrant and successful part of Georgia has been emptied of more than 3/4 of its population. Gardens and hotels, theaters and restaurants have been replaced by military bases, minefields and graveyards. It will take time, but Abkhazia, I'm sure, will once again be what it was, the most wonderful part of Georgia. And occupation will stay in the past and will be only part of history.